If you're a fan of the Watch Dogs video game franchise, then I am your boogeyman. I am your Doctor Doom, the universal threat. I am the man who ruined Watch Dogs for the entire world, at least according to one email. So I got this email a couple days ago, and I just wanted to talk about it and bring up a bigger point that stems from an email like this. So to bring everyone up to speed here and fill you in on the lore, I made a moist meter for the newest Watch Dogs game, Watch Dogs Legion, and spoiler alert, I fucking hated it. I found it to be one of the most boring AAA games I've played in recent memory. The only positive thing I could say about the game is I think it would be great for people with insomnia to help them finally get some sleep. I could also see it as maybe a form of punishment if you're trying to teach your kids a lesson. You could sit them down and make them play an hour of Watch Dogs, and then they'll probably eat their vegetables and stop disobeying you as a parent. The game's just not very good. It's not fun. Playing Watch Dogs Legion is like eating styrofoam. I'd rather sit in front of my washing machine and watch the clothes go around for an hour than play an hour of that game. Now, all this being said, I got an email from a very disgruntled fan saying that I single-handedly ruined the entire franchise and no more of the games will ever be made now because of my moist meter on the game. And first of all, I'm flattered that they think I have that much power, and second of all, if that is the case, then great. I should be hailed as a hero, so no more Watch Dogs games can plague gamers. That shit is boring. It is bad. So now let's get to the email. So the subject: why you had to ruin Watch Dogs Legion? What the fuck is wrong with you? It's pretty aggressive, but it's straight to the point. I knew exactly what I was getting in when I clicked on this email. Thanks to your awful Watch Dogs Legion review, absolutely nobody will buy this game. You're welcome. I bet it makes you so happy that you can ruin good things. Well, let's not get carried away here. I'm not going to say this person's name, but they're getting a little rambunctious, alright? They're hitting me with a bit of a razzle-dazzle here. There is nothing good about Watch Dogs Legion. Let's all get on the same page there, okay? I didn't ruin a good thing. I just talked shit about a bad thing, is what happened. Now, what I find interesting is they view the moist meter as the final boss of video game reviews, which is great. I love to hear it, but I don't know why all of a sudden they think my review of Watch Dogs has made everybody stop playing video games that I don't like. Keep in mind, a review is an opinion. It's not a fact. And trust me, I know in this day and age opinions can be scary because someone might have a different opinion than you, and that's terrifying. That's that kind of shit that keeps you up at night right there. But I think it is important to hear other opinions, even on something you like. Even if it's someone that doesn't share the same opinion, it might be worth hearing. But hey, I don't know, I'm not your fucking dad. You know, if you don't want to hear the same opinion, just lock yourself in Twitter echo chambers. That's entirely within your right. All I was doing was giving my opinion of a game I felt to be very stinky. And I was letting people know that much, you know, how I felt about it, because that's what the moist meter is. It's me bending over and showing you my asshole, and giving you my thoughts on games and movies. Now let's go ahead and get back to the novella. Everyone on YouTube, including Jack Spadici, were playing it and having fun. Once you posted your awful review, everyone stopped. Well, far be it from me to question this bulletproof logic here, but what if they stopped because they also realized how boring the game was? I put a good 6 hours or something into that fucking game, and that was more than I could stomach. Perhaps all the other YouTubers reached their limit. Human beings aren't perfect. We can't tolerate things as boring as Watch Dogs Legion for that long. So I think if I had to speculate and come up with a theory, a hypothesis, I would wager that the YouTubers stopped playing it because nobody wanted to watch it and they hated playing it because it was so fucking boring. It's just a guess. But I do like their thought process where everyone on YouTube only plays and enjoys the things that I play and enjoy. So if other YouTubers are playing something that I don't like, as soon as they realize that I don't like it, they all just like collectively stop like, oh fuck, well if Charlie doesn't like it, well then I shouldn't like it. I think that's kind of cute. Now it continues. How can you give it a worse score than Marvel's Avengers? Well, that is actually a good point. Now they're making a good point. Marvel's Avengers is extraordinarily boring. Yes, that is an inarguable point. That is watertight. But Watch Dogs Legion crosses this threshold, this event horizon of boredom, to a level I didn't even think AAA games could get to anymore. This game is literally like a Dementor from Harry Potter just sucking the fun out of all the players, and all that's left is this husk sitting in front of it mindlessly playing and having no fun. The Avengers game, while very boring, isn't quite to that level of misery, which is why it has a higher score than Watch Dogs, so I just wanted to clear the air on that. And now we reach the thrilling conclusion. It doesn't even make sense. Thank you so much, and that's in quotation marks for some reason, I don't really know why. Thank you so much for ruining one of my favorite franchise, because thanks to you, they will never make Watch Dogs 4. that is music to my ears. If they never make Watch Dogs 4, I'm happy. That's great news. But I don't think it would be because of me. You see, contrary to what they may believe, my opinion doesn't hold very much weight or sway in the video game industry or just the bigger picture overall of entertainment industry. It's just one man's opinion. That's all it is. But for some reason, the internet has really bastardized what an opinion means. An opinion that differs from your own now is an attack on you personally, as illustrated with this email here. It's very weird. When people like something and hear someone doesn't like it, they then hate that person for it. And they think because of that one person's negative opinion of the game, everyone's now gonna hate the game and everyone is now against them. It's strange and it's sad. And I also like to point out that they said I ruined the franchise for them. Why? Just because I didn't like it, now you can't enjoy it? You can like things that I don't like. It's not illegal. I'm not gonna, try and throw you in jail for it. It's totally fine for people to like things I don't, and vice versa, for people to like things you don't. There's nothing wrong with that. It's natural. That's the way things should be. Your opinion on something shouldn't change with what other people's opinion on it are. You should be able to form your own opinion and stick to it regardless of what other people think. For example, I love The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. The Mummy Returns is notorious for the worst CGI in American cinema history with its conclusion with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson coming out as the Scorpion King. In spite of that, or despite that, I still love it. I still absolutely love that movie. It's my second favorite movie, right behind the first Mummy being my favorite movie. It doesn't matter what other people's opinions are. If you like something, stay liking it. In summation, I didn't ruin the Watch Dogs Legion. Or maybe I did, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just talking out of my asshole now. Maybe at the Ubisoft headquarters right now, they were planning Watch Dogs 4, but once I dropped my moist meter, they just set fire to the documents. That's super possible, I guess. Maybe. Who knows? But anyway, that's about it. See ya. In 2 weeks, there has been 2 major cases where video game taunting has become a massive, massive issue online. Last time it was in an Apex tournament where one player teabagged his teammate and the entire team got banned from all future tournaments that were hosted by that org. And before that, it was a player on Twitter making a giant thread about how teabagging in Valorant is traumatizing and is the same thing as real-world sexual assault. Even just mentioning that Twitter thread is painful, like gargling glass. Comparing video game teabagging to sexual assault just reflexively makes the human body want to vomit. It's so fucking gross. But the point is, over the last couple of weeks, teabagging in video games has become like the ultimate evil to some people, like Voldemort here. If you don't know, and I already know you all do, but I just want to explain it a bit further, teabagging in games is when you go over someone's body and you crouch up and down a few times. That's it. That's all. That's what's starting all of this controversy. And today, we reached the boiling point that's confirmed that we live in Weenie Hut Juniorville. 2 players were banned for talking about that Twitter thread about teabagging and sexual assault. They made posts saying that it's very silly and disrespectful to compare teabagging to sexual assault, which it objectively is. Anyone with half a brain would agree that it is outright disgusting to compare video game crouching to fucking sexual assault in the real world. It is asinine, and it's just downright wrong. And today, 2 pro players were officially banned by Riot Games for their statements on that subject. They made posts saying that it's wrong to compare crouching up and down in a video game to sexual assault, calling it silly, calling it stupid, and they received competitive bans from Riot Games. And not only that, they got doxxed by Riot publicly. Their full names in the headline of their bans. And their names, they didn't have public. They didn't want their full names out there. Instead of just giving their gamer tags or their, their handles online, they gave their full fucking names. Just a huge, stinky, embarrassing blunder from Riot here. I think it's been, what, like 2 weeks? I made a video called Horrible Tweet I Can't Stop Thinking About, and it was all about that huge Twitter debate, wrong word for it, that huge Twitter clownery where someone made a giant thread all about how teabagging in video games is sexual assault. I'm sure you all remember that, right? A Twitter user made a giant case for why teabagging in Valorant is the same thing as real-world sexual assault and it's traumatizing, this and that. Very silly stuff, very goofy. That was top-tier Chef Kiss's goofiness. And today, as of 7 hours ago, it turns out The account that posted that initially was affiliated with a professional Valorant team, as I understand it, and two people that also clowned at it on Twitter, who were professional Valorant pros, got banned for it. So I'm doing more than Riot did. They straight up doxed them. So the two pros that obviously joked about that horrible take on teabagging being sexual assault, they got competitively banned, and then Riot doxed them. They said, like, in order to protect the identity of the person who started the tweet, we've kept their identity to person A. And then in the next sentence says, but these two pros, and gives their full name, both of their names, not like their gamer tags or anything, just their full names, and said, but these two are now banned for vulgar language against this user. We will not accept it. One of the people made a post talking about how this dox has actually affected them in the real world. So apparently, like, a classmate of theirs saw this announcement and then asked if that was them that they were talking about. So it's already, like, their identity being leaked like this has already had negative implications for them in the real world. It's unbelievable. All over teabagging equals sexual assault nonsense. What tournament are they banned from? They are banned from the entire Valorant Pro League. Like, they cannot be affiliated with anything Riot sanctioned. Got banned for talking shit. They weren't even, like, talking shit against the person who made the post. They were just pointing out how outrageous it was to claim that teabagging is the same thing as sexual assault. Like, they weren't even, like, attacking the actual poster. Scribble faster. I'm trying to. By the end of this, I'm going to end up with, like, a repeated stress injury to my wrist from having to censor their names so many times here. Because Riot couldn't be bothered. It looks like a goddamn CIA classified document with a bunch of, like, redacted all over it. Yeah, so this is the start of their statement here. So that, again, that Twitter thread was started by a member of Galorants, apparently. I'm not super familiar with Galorants. From a glance, I looked them up. It seems like it's like a Discord community that's all about, like, welcoming all kinds of people in there. I suppose. I don't really know. I don't think the Galorants had anything to do with this ban. I don't think they mass reported these two players or anything. So I don't know for sure, but I don't think they did. This seems like it was Riot just putting their own dick in their ass. So I think their Galorants is probably hands clean of this. But yeah, so the two players made posts on Twitter regarding that Twitter thread, and Riot is saying that it was targeted harassment and vulgar language against members of that community, which is a violation of their rules. So they've been banned from Riot-sanctioned events for... Oh, well, one player's been banned from Riot-sanctioned events for 3 months, and then the other one I think is 9. Yeah, 9. This was one of them. I believe Dawn got 3 months, yep. I don't think I need to say much more. I shitposted on Twitter, and apparently it's vulgar language. Thousands of other people, including pro players and streamers, have done it, but nothing for them. Below is all the evidence that Riot sent me. Feel free to look at them and find the vulgar speech that I used. Oh, and then in regards to the doxing, thanks for leaking my full name. People from school are texting me about it. So this is one of them. Pretty standard dunk. Nothing alarming there. Nothing that's gonna have you go like, oh, too far. And then again, this one's just, it's not that deep. I don't know why Kurapika's here, but that's kind of epic. This one's just a meme. Like, it's not even vulgar language, so it doesn't even fit. And this one, I guess, could be construed as like a threat, I suppose. I don't really know. So even if you really want to play hardball, like you can't say naughty things to other members of the Valorant esports community. Like, they really didn't. They didn't even say anything vulgar. It was just like general tweets. Like, hey, this is stupid. This is dumb. I want to quickly just come in here like a jump scare and let you all know that I actually talked to both Dawn and Razora, the two people who were banned here, to get a deeper insight on things. I asked them if they like actually did target or harass the girl who initially posted the thread, like if they went in her Discord and started insulting her or shit-talking her in her Discord or anything like that. And Dawn confirmed everything that they were punished for was the Twitter posts. Dawn had never gone into the Discord or even mentioned the girl or anything like that, never attacked her, harassed her, anything like that. And Razora also said something similar. However, Razora did make like videos about it as well as talking in the Discord about it, getting into like arguments in the Discord. So Razora was a little more direct with the community, whereas Dawn only made Twitter posts. So there, in both cases here, I don't think there's any argument for any like actual harassment or targeted attacks. It seems like both of them were just attacking the point that she was making with teabagging is sexual assault, which is a terrible point to make and deserves to be insulted and criticized, because that kind of thinking is not okay, and it is a complete slap in the face to actual sexual assault victims. So I don't think there's any case to be made that Razora and Dawn were like maliciously attacking or ruthlessly harassing the original poster of that Twitter thread. Why is there like no one talking about this? That's what I was surprised about. I thought this would be big news. Like there's an actual war on teabagging going on right now in gaming. It's fucking wild. And I'll address this right now, since people keep bringing it up. Yes, I really ate my own words here. I'll come here and publicly eat shit and say I was wrong. There was a case of someone getting teabagged in a real-life sport this week. Paddy the Batty, Pimblett, teabagged his opponent after choking him out in the octagon. So, yes, teabagging does happen in real sports too. And you know what happened to Paddy the Batty? The guy that got teabagged was laughing, Paddy was laughing, the commentators were laughing, and the whole world found it to be entertaining. It's just fucking video games where virtual teabagging is apparently the devil.
You said this week you knew he was going to shoot for a single leg. Not like you'd done your homework.
See? Like that's... Again, I like it, it's good, I like where his heart's at, but the technique is not great. That is amateurish technique at absolute best. Rookie shit. Only 2 pumps, and for some reason has his hands straight up. Like, that's just not even proper teabagging technique. But I do love that he pioneered it into the real world of sports. And I fucking love Paddy the Batty. I think that guy's amazing. Probably tired. Yeah, I mean, again, heart was in the right place. We just gotta work on that technique for the next one. But back on topic. Point is, teabagging is not a big deal, no matter how desperately gaming companies as well as delusional gamers want to pretend it is. It is certainly not grounds for a fucking ban. And these two didn't even teabag or anything. They're just talking about how stupid it is to compare it to sexual assault. Splitgate's crowd cheers when you teabag. Oh my god. To the member of the Gallerants that made that thread, I pray they never find Splitgate, because they would absolutely melt down. They would think that is an actual hell-on-earth situation. There's an entire game mode in Splitgate where you teabag your opponent to confirm. They would never be the same. But I think this next section is really great to highlight where Riot's head's at, because this is where they protect the identity of the initial poster and then immediately dox the other two. This is where they give like the timeline of events. Beginning June 24th, a player identified as Player A to protect their identity engaged community members on Gallerant's Discord server. June 27th, the discussion evolved into an argument spanning multiple Twitter posts. I'll throw the guess out here. I know Riot got investigated for, what was it, gender discrimination stuff at the office. Like, they had a huge workplace culture problem at Riot where... We even talked about it on the podcast. There were stories where, like, one of the higher-ups at Riot used to go cubicle to cubicle and fart in the employees' faces. Like, they treated it like it was a crazy fucking frat house. And I believe it was like $100 million lawsuit or something. I mean, I'm on the internet right now. I can double-check. I don't know what the verdict was on it, but it became kind of a big deal. And I think what's happening now... Oh, the verdict's in. They've agreed to pay the $100 million in settlement. Okay. Makes even more sense then. So I think what's happened here is they're trying super hard to overcorrect for things. So they're going really fucking hard in the paint here. Like any minor issue on Twitter or anywhere, any of their leagues, they're trying to like make a grand statement like, We are not sexist. We are safe. And it's backfiring. Because it's the exact opposite. That's a good theory. Yeah, I mean, it's just a game theory at the end of the day. But I think the timing makes sense, since they agreed 2 days ago to pay this out, and neither Dawn nor Rizora even knew that this ban was coming. Seems like they may have just, like, jumped the gun and tried really hard to look good quickly. To be fair, is either get cooked by the person who started the thread for doing nothing, or do something and get cooked by the community. They chose the wrong side. I don't think so. The person who started the thread hasn't said shit since. At the end of the day, it was her opinion, which she's welcome to have. I think it's a terrible take, as did most people. But she publicly posted it on Twitter for everyone to opine on. And I don't think she made a big stink about it. So Riot not doing anything wouldn't have been a problem. Plus, Riot didn't hit everyone that dunked on it. Don mentioned 2 other pro players in the scene that didn't have any repercussions, just Don and Rizora. I actually got to talk to both the players on stream who gave me a deeper perspective on exactly what happened. So, Dawn is the player that received a 3-month ban for this, and she talked about how her posts were what triggered Riot Games into taking action, but after Riot Games looked at the posts, they contacted Dawn saying that there were no problems, she was in the clear, and then today, out of nowhere, they just decided to ban her. She had no warning, had no idea it was coming, and was even told that it wasn't coming, and that she was cleared. It wasn't a big deal. So I don't know what exactly happened there. And then the other player is named Rizora, and she received a ban from Riot for 9 months. For similar reasons to Dawn, however, Rizora also made YouTube videos, like talking about how dumb it is, the whole statement on teabagging being sexual assault. So Rizora made more content around the statements than Dawn did, and as such received a longer ban. So Rizora went a little harder on the statement than Dawn, and Riot punished her harder. It's such a fucked up scenario that shouldn't have happened under any circumstance. Neither Dawn nor Rizora knew this ban was coming. They received no warning from Riot Games. They found out when the rest of the world found out, and were shocked to see that their full names had now just been put out there by this company. So this whole thing was just a complete fuck up from Riot. There shouldn't have been bans in the first place. The players should be allowed to express their opinions on Twitter, regardless of what it's about. They shouldn't be like hall monitoring their pro scene to make sure that everything is squeaky clean and fine and everyone's playing nice. And for some reason, it was only Dawn and Rizora that got banned for this, even though there were other pro players that were dunking on it as well. So it's very weird that they targeted just 2 people here out of the entire crowd of people that were talking about it. So I don't understand exactly what's going on, but one thing's for sure, Riot definitely missed the mark here. Also, both Dawn and Rizora said that with Riot doxing them like that, they've received many messages from classmates who saw the headlines and are now reaching out about it. And it's just been a real nuisance for them. So Riot's definitely just made a fool out of themselves here. This was entirely avoidable. It should have never even been a discussion on whether or not Dawn and Rizora should be banned. The answer should have been a resounding no. Shouldn't have even been a question. But even after they decided to ban them, I don't know how the decision came about to put their full names out there publicly. That's such a violation of, like, trust and privacy. That makes no sense to me. It's not like this is like a legal lawsuit or something like that, or like a actual litigation in court. They didn't have to fully name the defendants here. They are victims of Riot Games now. Riot Games just doxed them, which is fucked up. So this was just a really bad look for Riot, like completely. Hopefully they'll go back and overturn this outrageous decision, but I have a feeling they won't. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about this, and that's about it. See ya. Maybe we'll just watch the Ackman video on the hot takes, because I actually still haven't seen the hot takes that started it all. There, you pull it up. There must have been some spicy shit, though.
Mr. Wilson. This is the video you won't just make you better. Wow, God. We will make.
I am 100% sincere when I say, without any
Acer Thorn had something on this.
Elden Ring can suck my dick.
Excuse me!
So, you know.
Also, I finally saw that video that Acer Thorn, like, sued everyone for. I see why he sued them. So there's this guy on YouTube named Acer Thorn. And he does, like, some weird rambles and awful opinions. And he's apparently a serial lawsuit guy who just sues everyone. He sued his own dad once, but apparently he stabbed him in the face or something. I didn't get
Your dad did?
No, like he stabbed his dad in the face and then sued him.
Like that.
At least that's how I read it. I could be wrong, and maybe he'll come out.
If he stabbed it through the lawsuit papers to him, it was like, you've been served.
God, that'd be so fucking intense. He just stabs the lawsuit to him.
Oh.
Yeah, it's insanity stuff though. But he started up a live stream by accident, and he was shirtless, making some goofy noises for an hour and a half. There's a part, and I don't think he can come after me for describing it, but there's a part where he like gets up and he goes off to the side and he's like and shit like that.
What?
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd. And then he whispers, "I will kill you" once. And this was an accidental live stream. It was so fucking goofy.
This video is going to be good, but their opinions can't ruin something as pristine and beautiful as Elden Ring. Now, I want to make it clear, it's okay to dislike a video game that I like. It's okay to enjoy something that I do not. Dog model. This goes without saying. What I care about is if your reasons are good. Unlike this next guy who posted one of the worst Elden Ring reviews I've ever seen.
Hey, that's our boy.
I'm returning this utter crap because this game is terrible.
I don't care what anybody says.
You can tell someone's angry when they're just like shaking the fucking game case in the video, and that's like that's the video.
I got all the way through that beginning of the game. It was very bland. So I get to that guy with the mask. I accidentally attack him. He kills me.
So you arrived in Limgrave and immediately attacked the first non-hostile NPC. So you must have ignored the talk button at the bottom of the screen when you walked up to him, as well as his non-threatening pose and lack of wielding any kind of weapon.
I respawn right in front of him. He kills me. Respawn. He kills me. Respawn. Finally get away. See this big thing, horse minotaur.
So the guy got approximately 10 minutes into the game.
I respawn right in front of the guy who kills me. I'm like, how is this fun? And there's supposed to be a lock-on system, but my guy decides to just start swinging wildly.
Tell me you're not making this video without knowing how to lock on. I've never seen someone invalidate their own opinions as a game critic so effortlessly.
Then you've never read Kotaku.
So we can assume that he, like, how does a guy who has hundreds of games on his shelves not understand the concept of a non-hostile NPC?
Because this is a different,
these games are not
scary
enjoyable.
game.
Yes, I get there are people out there that like it.
I think one of
and
the
this game is not a 10 out of 10.
Is you actually need a certain level of intelligence to actually progress sometimes, and that's why these people just don't understand.
I disagree. I think this guy's just on a different level. This guy's like, he's seeing 10 steps into the future where games will play themselves, but we're just not there yet.
Oh.
Like, imagine posting a review without even killing a single enemy in a Souls game. Or learning how to lock on. Yes,
God, that's shameful.
Like, this is it.
That's rough,
This is his review of the game.
This is one of the most wretched things in terms of accessibility and gameplay and just...
He must have been sitting there just like, why did that guy I stabbed start swinging back? Could you imagine inviting this guy over to play Smash Bros? It is a rabbit hole I can't be bothered to go into.
Oh,
apparently
there's
this guy,
our boy!
Quantum TV, made an Elden Ring review that he later deleted. People...
Everything. That means you start over, so leveling up is extremely hard because of the nature of the game and its difficulty level, and it's not fun. There's nothing fun about this game for somebody who is new to the franchise.
And that's kind of the crux of the issue, right? This is what I try to do when I criticize a game or a series that I'm not all that familiar with. I'm much softer about my criticisms. Have an understanding that there's fans that know more about this series than you do, so make it clear you're coming from an outsider perspective and maybe try not to flame the audience, you know, because maybe you want your own audience to grow, and if you're being an asshole, it might be kind of hard. Quantum.
I think Quantum was on to something.
And then you look at the graphic style. It's a joke. It is literally a joke. And then you look at the graphic style. It's a joke. It is like last gen being sold for new gen.
He's making some incredible points.
Like, I think that would be as honest as anyone's going to be about this product. I don't know who they made it for.
Who did they make Elden Ring for? It couldn't possibly be the 12 million people that bought it within 3 weeks.
Again, I couldn't speak lowly enough about this game. I don't recommend it. And I think if you're
I've
smart,
never heard
just
that
play
before. I couldn't
something
speak
else.
lowly enough about
If I can find something
this.
good to say about Call of Duty Ghosts and Call of Duty Vanguard, there's hope for everything.
A lot of you are not only being childish, but I don't think you're actually seeing this objectively. You
Ooh,
see,
he's
every
too
single
smart
Dark
for
Souls
us.
fan watching this video
His
right
brain
now
is too
had
big
to die
for mere
1 times to learn how to
plebeians,
play that game.
Philistines.
Using that experience,
Enlighten me.
I come home from work, I'm trying to unwind, I'm trying to relax. I'm not trying to sit there stressed out on some fucking game, yelling at the screen, trying to hashtag
Get good.
because that's like this mentality that all you guys have kind of gotten submitted into. You guys literally sound like abuse victims, right? Like you're in a really shitty relationship and that's just how it is, man.
That's a good now he's making a good point.
A game that's not for everyone isn't a game that should be made, in my opinion.
Like when people like this say every game should be made for everyone, it's like, okay, so why the fuck do we have a rating system then? Because not every game is made for everyone.
Because the reality is, if it wasn't so ridiculously hard and you had the thrill of dying a bunch of times, it's really a lackluster game with shitty graphics.
Oof.
The graphics are dog shit. The graphics are dog shit. Shitty graphics.
What games does he play? I didn't really look at his channel much. Does he do more than TV reviews? Because I
It's
feel
always
like
a great feeling
he
when
must
something-
have, right?
I guarantee you he doesn't play roguelikes. He hates dying.
I don't think he plays much of anything. Was he the guy that was excited for Gran Turismo, or is that the other guy? My God, how many TV? Does he buy these TVs to review them?
There's no way.
No fucking shot, right?
So that maybe they've decided that they're going to ride their coattails. Their corporation control. They've lazy.
Or
They
if he
got
like works
they
at
keep
Best
this
Buy,
individual-
shuts off the lights at night, and just like reviews the TV right there.
He has to, right? There's no way he's buying all of these
Next
TVs.
on the chopping,
It-
we're going to be comparing it against.
it
the
looks like he
Sony
does.
X80J. That for a medium high end. So always.
That's
prestige,
actually
and
the
until
smartest
next
thing
video-
I've heard him like do.
You can return them? Can you really return them though after this? Like, hey, I'm gonna buy this TV just to review it at home for a day and then bring it back. I feel like that's not like a good reason to return it, right?
I feel like maybe he cycles through different shops, I'm sure, but like at that rate, he's not making enough money from his YouTube channel to warrant that.
Well, apparently you can just do that.
Minutes a day, I'll be giving you guys a no bullshit review of WWE 2K 2022. So we're gonna just dive right into the obvious. It's a great game. I highly recommend it.
That's fucking crazy. The game sucks. The character creator's good. The gameplay is better though. I will say, WWE fans, they finally made the gameplay a little bit better than 2K21 and 2K20.
Maybe he's like an EA fanboy. Let's see if he likes FIFA.
Well, this isn't EA. This is 2K, which is much worse. Their servers don't even work. Someone said, oh, here, wait, second row, there's 2 here.
So today I'll be telling you guys if you should pick up Horizon Forbidden West. Spoiler, you shouldn't. At least not until it goes on sale. That's the short answer. So if you like somebody just being honest with you, smack a like on this video for getting to the damn point.
This is a game that he should have loved. This is like a game journalist's wet dream. You like just put it on the easiest mode. They literally have like a story-only mode, and the story is amazing.
Watch him be upset with how easy it was.
I bet he's going to be upset that it's a woman. I bet he's going to be upset that it's a female protagonist.
Score that they used when they first start, showing you Horizon Forbidden West. The musical score was like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. It was very corporate America, middle-aged white.
What does that
maybe going
mean?
through a midlife crisis. It feels like she just took something off of her personal playlist, put it in the game, and said, "There you go."
What?
This upsets me.
And then again, you're meandering around most of the time trying to figure out where you're going to go or what you're going to do or what does what, and it's really annoying. Then you get to the graphical glitch.
I feel like he makes his reviews based off of the first couple of Reddit posts he sees on Kotaku and Action. And he's like, I'll just maybe say some of these.
Literally picks up the worst things and is like, here they are. Here we go.
He'll go to like sort by controversial and be like, that's my script. I'll let that ride, I guess. Elden Ring, worst game ever made.
Are really annoying. You've got trees that glow red when you start panning. You've got artifacts that pop up over Aloy's head, shimmering leaves.
There's plenty of things to not like about the game, but he hasn't given a single one yet.
Outside of like maybe Aloy's screen time, black people have the most screen time, and it wasn't like this in the last game. It was a mix of everybody's story and everybody's region and everybody's everything, and this is very clearly the Black Lives Matter push. I know what it is. Sony has been talking about doing this more in their games. You know, they're doing it in upcoming titles, and you're going to keep seeing it. Miles Morales, for Christ's sake, has a Black Lives Matter mission.
Oh,
You think
wow.
I'm being too... I have
Holy
a big problem
shit.
with being pandered to. And that, for me, is where this whole thing, combined with the graphical issues...
Whoa, dudes. The dude's in deep. He's posting cringe on main. Oh, wow. That took a turn.
Could you imagine sitting down for Thanksgiving dinner with this man?
No, I couldn't. I don't think anyone does sit down with him at Thanksgiving dinner.
What did I tell you about watching Coco Melon and their satanic atheist agenda, AJ?
You turn that finger family off. The Illuminati symbol comes up in there. Yeah, this is rough. I think that's probably plenty of that. Let's go back to his Elden Ring takes. Holy shit.
And if you aren't one of those players, then you are a scumbag, you filthy casual. At the end of the day, go kill yourself, man. At the end of the day, go kill yourself, man. At the end of the day, go kill yourself, man. Where your misunderstanding is. But hopefully by explaining this to you, I can maybe kind of smooth out your aggression and your backlash. Again, against you, it's not a personal attack.
Yeah, hopefully this video where I tell you to go kill yourself can put us on good terms. Hey, now that I've explained everything and given you my viewpoint, we can be friends now. You have no family, you have no friends, go kill yourself. Alright, hop in my Discord.
What kind of corner do you have to get backed into to just say, go kill yourself? Like, this is an Xbox Live 2006.
And he switches gears right after it. This is right after the go kill yourself. He's like, alright, but at the end of the day, like, now I think I've smoothed everything over. You don't need to be aggressive anymore.
Well, to be fair, isn't this how you and Andrew became friends?
Well, Andrew made like a parody. It wasn't. He wasn't like Charlie should go fucking kill himself, and I was like, damn.
I heard him say that.
This guy's epic. He just made like a joke video. Yeah, we watched the most recent Ackman video before this one, so we're going like backwards in the timeline.
This means that the players of Elden Ring are likened to people who would rather drink blood from a cup than your neighbor next door.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
You're weird for liking this game.
Does guy
Maybe your experience with these people has something to do with what you said to
what
them.
he's even trying to say.
How many subs do I have again?
Over the years, I've had to learn the hard way that you can't just talk over somebody else's content, pausing and playing it, calling it fair use. That is not fair use.
You absolutely can if you add constructive feedback to the video itself.
No, Caleb,
If
this
you
guy's a
transform the
lawyer.
work
He passed the
beyond
bar.
what it was originally posted
And then
as.
started reviewing
That is
TVs.
absolutely fair use. That should be a medium that is encouraged, not censored, right?
I'm just here like...
Disagreed. Quantum TV's above it.
All the negative press you
Point doesn't stand. I wonder what his
Games
favorite game.
come out,
Oh,
you'll be a footnote in a couple of months.
There we
Nobody
go.
will even talk about this.
Hogwarts.
Game, ever even mention it when we talk about the greats of this generation. That is a fact when the next generation cycle is said and done.
I love that.
Don't forget it.
I love when a big point's being made. The finger comes out.
The finger.
Every time. Every time he's trying to make like a very powerful point in his mind, he's like, yes.
That's the people's finger.
It will not be game of the year. It is trash, and you should kill yourself now. Like, it's like every time he's bringing something out, the finger comes out just like that. I love to see that shit. It's a universal thing.
100%.
Like, it's not just him. Genuinely, everyone who speaks the same way this guy does the finger. It's crazy. I love that, though. Hey, good work, Quantum.
I said it on this day because these are hard facts.
But there's also like certain
but
like
pretty much
variations,
me,
like
so-
the finger down. Have you noticed that?
The finger down's a big one. I've done the finger down before, too.
Really?
Yeah, I'll put the finger down.
Oh, yes, of course. Do you actually like press something, or is it?
No, I'll just like it's.
So my advice is, if you're reviewing
You
a
are
game,
wrong
keep it about the game
because of
and
this.
Don't just
Have you ever, like,
go out
Phoenix
of your way
Wright
to
somebody?
flame the
No.
audience.
I've
Maybe
never hit him
try
with
to
the
come into it
objection.
Like, hey, I don't really know.
If he never made that Elden Ring video, I would think nothing ill of this guy. Like, if I was looking for a TV and I stumbled on his channel, I would just be like, oh, okay, that's a helpful TV review.
That's not true. The playlist choices are kind of whack.
Well, I never click on playlist. I only did that to find him have bad opinions. Pull over. This is the opinion police. We got a report that you like a game that I don't, so you're going to the slammer. I'm talking about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. To extend this broader, it's not so much about liking the game or not. I'm not here to change your mind if you really enjoy the game. I'm talking about excusing all of the obvious problems and writing them off as not a big deal when there are a lot of unacceptable, objectively broken things about this game. I'm just getting pretty tired of people getting mad at myself and others for pointing out glaring problems with the game and writing it off as being nitpicky and saying that those things aren't real issues to actual genuine Pokemon fans. And I have to wonder, like, what genjutsu you're trapped under, what fucking delusional fantasy you're living in to say that a lot of the things that are being pointed out about how broken the game is aren't a big deal or aren't a detriment to the overall experience. I just feel like this battling for the honor of your favorite franchise and not acknowledging problems is going in the wrong direction for the industry. There's nothing wrong with liking Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in spite of its flaws. You can still like the game and acknowledge its problems. There's nothing wrong there. That's not a crime. That's not a sin. The Lord's not going to cast you to hell for that. It's just cosplaying as an unpaid PR manager for your franchise and writing off legitimate criticism as just haters is super silly. But this isn't a problem that's exclusive to Pokemon by any means at all. Another great example is Warzone 2.0. Oh my god, I played that little pimple for 6 hours yesterday and it felt like dunking my head in a garbage disposal. It was just painful. I think I crashed in total 7 times, and even when I wasn't crashing, I would often get into a lobby with unplayable lag. But when the game did work, I enjoyed it. The problem was, it just seldomly worked because it's in such a bad state right now. And a lot of people write that off as, well, what did you expect? It just came out. And I think that is a problem. And it's the same thing that a lot of people are saying about Pokemon. I think that's just not okay. Why are we alright with that all of a sudden? Why are we okay with a game launching and not really being playable for the most part? Why is that good? Like, yes, I'm sure eventually the problems will be fixed. I agree. But why not just fix them and then release it? Like how things used to be a while ago. It's been a long time, I understand. But why? Why do we want them so early when they don't work well? Why not just hold them to some level of standards of releasing something that works, that's not fucking broken? I don't understand why we're totally fine with it now, where all of a sudden I'm on the outside and everyone's like, oh, look at this fucking goofball thinking that a game would work on launch week. As if, like, I'm stupid for expecting things to be functional. It is so fucking frustrating, and it just steams my ham. Now, to kind of shift back towards Pokemon and how it all relates there, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet launched and it has some of the worst performance out of any modern game I've ever experienced. It is absolutely embarrassing and downright laughable. Just truly pathetic. And I think this is a combination of a few things. One, the team behind it, Game Freak, being extremely untalented, some of the most untalented developers in the entire business. And two, them not having enough time to fully flesh out their game and their systems. And I think that's pretty obvious when you look at the last Pokemon game that came out, Legends of Arceus, being only 10 months old. Legends of Arceus came out January 28th of this year. They didn't even have a full year before releasing their newest game. Now, you might remember my moist meter for Legends of Arceus. I actually was quite positive on it, and I look back on it fondly. I enjoyed it. I think that was a step in the right direction, which has become the catchphrase for modern Pokemon games where they just step in the right direction but never actually hit their mark. And with Arceus, I thought, okay, they have a formula here, they have an idea, now give it some time, they'll flesh it out and make it better. Well, they gave them no time, ripped all the flesh off like a hungry cannibal, and released this half-baked, undercooked, downright raw slab of beef. My game can't run at anything above 15 FPS, oftentimes less than that, and every single time I'm in an area that has more than like 3 or 4 things on screen, some of them are moving at literally 2 frames per second, actual slideshow. And the game also can't render shit, so everything's always popping in and out. You don't even know what's real and what's not. You're constantly like in this rift between dimensions, like in between realms. It couldn't render your fucking hand in front of your face. So you'll be like riding around on the back of your motorcycle Pokemon, and it looks like it's just open world in front of you. Nothing but you and the breeze blowing your hair, wind in the sails. But then as you're going, all of a sudden you hit like a fucking speed bump of tiny little eggplant Pokemon that have just rendered into the world, and now you're locked into a little battle wasting time there. And, of course, the world is beyond empty. You don't see things until they see you, and you're like right in front of them. And if you make the mistake, God forbid, you make the mistake of jumping while on the back of your Pokemon, you're spending 15 seconds in the air. Because it goes through that jump animation, frame by frame, like you're watching a sports highlight on an impressive moment. You get to experience that jump, every agonizing second of that jump, as if it's a flip book being flipped in front of your face. It's pathetic. These are universal issues. They're not exclusive to just me or a few players. This is the performance across the board. And it's full of so many bugs and glitches, it's unreal. A really fun one that was discovered today is if you plug in another controller while playing and you go forward on both controllers, you get turbo speed, you get super speed. That's actually a pretty hype glitch though, but overall, just like a nut, this game is busted. And I really don't like that people are pretending it's not. I'm still seeing a lot of rave reviews for it in spite of these problems, and like I said, it's fine to like it, but if you're going to be an outlet, like, actually reviewing this, you need to fully take into account these problems. They are detrimental to the overall experience and weigh everything down. Now, one thing I've been very vocal about, especially in the last few years with Game Freak, is how lazy they are. I think Game Freak devs have had the easiest job for the last 20 years in the gaming industry. They just go in occasionally, click Control-C, Control-V, call it a day. I don't think they've been innovating much. Until Arceus, they've tried some new stuff, and I appreciate the effort there. But with this, it's 50 steps backwards. And I don't know if it's just because they rushed this out. It feels like they rushed it out because it's so clunky, janky, and unfinished. But it's still very lazy. One thing that I think just off top of mind to improve Pokemon would be voice acting. I have yet to hear a single good argument from anyone to say why voice acting wouldn't be welcomed in a new game. Why? Why not have voice acting? That's such an easy inclusion. That would immediately improve the experience overall. 100%. I think everyone would agree. There is no argument for why they haven't other than money and greed. Pokemon is the biggest, highest grossing media franchise ever. They could absolutely afford for their flagship titles like their video games to have voice acting at the very least. Like, that would have been such an easy thing to bring in here to get people hype. Something as simple as just voice acting. But they don't, because they know they don't need to. They can be as lazy as they want and people will still eat that shit up. Now, I do still enjoy the Pokemon combat formula. I don't know, it's just never gotten old for me. I do still get happy playing the games. But there's still room to improve there as well. Even outside of, like, gameplay and mechanics, you could add more animations. Half of these animations are fucking reused anyway. They often reuse models as well, so it's not like they're spending a ton of time painstakingly recreating these models or improving these models, but why not? Why not add more animations? You have enough money, you have a big team. Why not add more animations, make them flashier, make them look better, add more of them? Like, there's just so many easy things that they could do, quality of life improvements, to actually make Pokemon games feel and look better. Because these games look like absolute dog shit. Holy fuck, they look worse than a lot of the Steam new release indie title tech demos that are scams on Steam. Like, they actually look better than, those actually look better than, like, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The vast majority of the shit in this game is untextured. Like, there's just so much of it, and maybe it's just the textures aren't loading, I have no idea. But, like, half of the game is just untextured, and it all looks like shit anyway, even when there are textures that load in. This is just not a $60 experience. It's a joke to be asking that amount for this product. That $60 is better spent as kindling for your fireplace than spent on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, I'll say it for the third fucking time now, there's nothing wrong with still liking the game. I do still like the core bits and pieces of Scarlet and Violet, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the entire package is not in a state that was ready to ship. It's not even close. And I don't think that it's okay to be saying that it'll be fixed eventually, so it's fine. You're just overreacting. Oh my god, it's launch week, get over it. They'll get it better in a year from now, a month from now, whatever. That's just not a good excuse. The game should be in a good state when it comes out. It should be content complete when it ships, and working, functional. That's not just talking about Pokemon, that's talking about Warzone 2 and so many other modern games that I wouldn't even know where to start listing all of them. There's just this trend where people expect the games to not work, and they're fine with that because they believe, and usually rightfully so, that the game will eventually work. That's just still bad. The game should work at launch. Yeah, overall, I just wanted to whine about this a little bit. It's just a really sad state that a lot of these games are in right now, and I think that as gamers, you should stop being okay with being fed this shit. Like, stop swallowing that shit with a smile on your face and writing off legitimate criticism as just haters not getting it or not appreciating the art. There is nothing wrong with calling out these problems and saying that they shouldn't be there in the first place, and it should be better, and could be better. I think all of that's very fair. That's really about it. See ya. The most expensive game ever put up for sale is a game that you have never heard of. I am almost 100% certain of it. It's a game that does actually exist. It's not just make-believe, phony baloney nonsense. It is a real game, and it is a game that has been played by at least 16 people. And it's a game called Spooky Men, and it retails for $100,000 on Steam. Or at least it used to. But the developer must have realized the power and the beauty of Spooky Men and came to the conclusion that any sane person would. That he was actually underselling the game. The price didn't match the quality. He needed to charge more for it. This is Spooky Men we're talking about, for heaven's sake. Like, heavens to Betsy, it's Spooky Men. He was basically giving it away for free with a $100,000 price tag. So, he made the logical decision. He eventually cranked up the price of Spooky Men to $1 million to buy it. At $1 million for a video game, that shit better be coming with the goddamn One Piece. Like, that has to have some crazy treasure that's gonna change my life. If I don't fire up Spooky Men and instantly get taller, more attractive, and with a fuller beard, then what's the point? It's basically a scam. 1 million clams, these Spooky Men better come out of my computer screen and actually suck my cock. As advertised, these men are spooky. Let's go ahead and check the description of what it's about. You know, maybe it really is worth the price of admission here. Spooky Men is an online 1 to 8 player cooperative survival horror game. Complete tasks and exorcise the malevolent demon. Use your wits to distract the ghost and survive its attacks as you explore the haunted property. Can you make it out alive? Finally, an innovative horror game complete with everything you'll ever need. Really, you know, you pay $1 million for Spooky Men and you will literally never need another video game in your life. This has it all. Demons, ghosts, exorcisms, 1 to 8 player cooperative survival horror experience. It's got it all. What else could you possibly want in life? You know what? Actually, I know the answer to that question. I know what else you want in life. You want a better PC. Well, I've got you covered. Because StarForge is doing a huge site-wide sale starting from today, August 8th, and going until tomorrow, August 9th at midnight, with prices up to $150 off. StarForge has the best PCs in the universe, and today's our anniversary, so we're celebrating by doing this big sale here. Of course, every PC comes with a 2-year full parts and labor warranty, and tons of options to choose from, all catered to what your needs are. So definitely go to starforgesystems.com if you want to get yourself a new, great PC. Now, some of you might be there scratching at your chin, really flexing your noodle, trying to process, what makes Spooky Men so special? And the answer is nothing. Nothing at all. This seems to be just another low-effort, asset flip, piece of shit horror game that is a dime a dozen on Steam. When dumpster diving on Steam, I played 1 million games that look just like this. So why are they charging $100,000 or up to $1 million at one point? What is the purpose? Well, I actually had a theory that I speculated on stream, and many of you may have noticed that there's 16 reviews here, so you might be thinking that the developer made $1.6 million selling this piece of shit, but I think there's a lot more at play here. It's a lot deeper of a rabbit hole than that. I don't believe anyone actually paid $100,000 for this, except for this guy right here who just said, I'm rich. This patriot, this absolute madman, may have actually dumped $100K on this bad boy here, because this review was posted when it was still listed at $100K, so there is a chance that he did. So I think there is a chance this dude might have just actually fucking dumped his life savings on Spooky Men for the sake of a meme review, which maybe even prompted the developer to increase it to $1 million, because he's like, holy shit, I'm actually getting some fish here at $100K, what about $1 million? But yeah, I actually do think there is a real explanation here, and full disclosure, if you check the game right now, he lowered the price to $200, which is still an outrageous fucking price for a garbage, throwaway, rancid pile of puke. Like, it's still, you've got some gall. The chutzpah, yeah, the hair on that sack, to charge with a smile on your face $200 for Spooky Men is still absurd. But Anyway, let me go ahead and explain why I think it was listed at $100K and $1 million at one point. What the fuck, there is actually a $100,000 Steam game called Spooky Min. 16 people bought this game. I don't know. Oh, it looks like it at one point cost 59 cents. And they changed it to $100,000. Maybe they changed it to this because they couldn't take it off Steam, so they just put it at a price no one could pay for. That's probably what happened then. That is a spooky man, though. Buy it. I'm definitely not doing that. I really do wonder what would happen, though, if I bought this for $100,000 and then issued a Steam refund and said I want it all in store credit. Could they process a $100,000 store credit refund? What are the limits here? Because you can charge fucking anything for games on Steam. Theory will only take you too far. Will only take you so far. I'm not doing it. I'm just saying. It is wacky to think about. Because very clearly this is not worth $100,000. It shouldn't even be an option to charge this fucking much on Steam. But Steam doesn't give a shit, so. Buy it, beat it in 10 minutes, refund, say this is ridiculous, I can't believe I paid $100,000 for this, I chose this over a car payment, or a house payment. I want my refund. They'd have to give me the refund because I'm well within my right. Out 100K, but you also gain 100K in store credit. Yeah, that would literally last me an entire lifetime with Steam. I would never need to use credit card or anything on Steam ever again. I just always have fucking store credit. How much do you think every single game on Steam would cost altogether? Isn't there a site that has the answer to that? Oh, yeah, there is. How much does it cost to buy all the Steam games? Ever wonder how much it costs to buy all games from Steam? Well, at the moment it costs $980,000. How many fake high prices, though? Oh, true. Since this was updated 3 hours ago, it's absolutely going to be taking this $100,000 price tag into account, won't it? Yes, this is going to be highly inflated with games like this. This and Destiny 2 make up 90%. You know, the game used to be 59 cents, and then he cranked it to 100 grand, and like I said, I'm pretty sure the reason is the game's shitty. The game is probably really bad. And he doesn't want people to buy it until it's done, because it's still in early access. But he also doesn't want to take it down either, because then it'll be another $100 to put it back up. It's $100 to add a game. It used to be. There's a fee to post games on Steam. There used to be. And it used to be $100. I think that's still the case, right? They didn't get rid of that. They didn't waive the fee. I tried looking for the developer's Twitter or something like that in order to see if they've made a statement about the price anywhere or anything. But I haven't found anything from them, so I can only continue to speculate, but I think I've pinned the tail on the donkey here. I think the reason for the price being up to like $100K and $1 million and shit like that was to put it out of people's price range so no one would accidentally buy it, so it meant that he could work on the game without fear of someone buying the game and being mean to him about it or something, maybe. It's basically a way of making sure nobody can buy it. Because no one's going to pay $100K for it, right? That's not exactly a cheap, affordable price someone's just going to drop all willy-nilly. So I think that was probably the goal, but now he's dropped the price to $200. And now I think the goal is really out of greed. Because this did get a lot of publicity, there were quite a few articles written about it and people joking about it on Twitter. So I think what must have happened is he was tipped off about all of this new publicity that he was finding. And he thought, okay, well, what if I bring the price way down? Maybe some people will buy it for the meme. And he's probably right. I do imagine there are a couple of people that probably spent $200 for Spooky Min in the couple of days that he's had it there now, at that price. Which would, of course, be a very reckless waste of money, but that shit does happen from time to time. I myself am guilty as being someone who dumped $200 twice now on absolute repulsive garbage for the sake of a meme, a little goof with it. Of course, you can always refund it, right? Like, no one's actually going to buy this game and not refund it, but even still, it's still just is so embarrassing to do that. I can't help but be a little bit regretful that I spent $200 on something like, you know, Super Fight or whatever. So I'm not doing it again. I'm not spending $200 on Spooky Men, of course. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because I've never seen a game priced this high. Even though I always knew you theoretically could on Steam, I would still just like to think that there's some kind of safeguard in place to prevent a developer from doing this kind of shit. Like, there's no reason you should ever be able to have your price go up to $100,000 or $1 million. Like, I don't see that ever being utilized. I don't think it ever should be utilized. Nothing should be that expensive on Steam. But yeah, I just thought this was still pretty interesting. That's about it. So yeah. There's only 2 words that I can think of whose names are like Voldemort on the internet, where you hear them and it sends a shiver down your spine just at their mere mention. One of them is James Corden, obviously, and the other is Machinima. Before getting into the meat of what I want to talk about today, I think it's important to set the stage here. I need to put all the plates on the table so that way you can get ready to eat my big idea. I want to tell you the whole story and lore of Machinima, so get ready for a roller coaster ride of nostalgia. Machinima was the first major gaming-related YouTube channel that really blew up. It became this hub for all things gaming-related, and for a long time was one of the top 10 biggest channels across all of YouTube. They even had spin-off channels like Machinima Respawn, and I'm sure all of you can remember watching their content. They were posting like 50 videos a day across all their channels. The catalog of content they had was longer than all of the known digits of pi. And everyone wanted their videos posted by Machinima, including me. When I was still but a wee lad, stars in my eyes, having big dreams, I wanted my clips posted by Machinima. I was young and naive, going through puberty, my body was experiencing changes, not so much in the height department unfortunately, but in the hormones and vocal fold department. But one thing never changed, my desire to be a part of Machinima. But I never got that opportunity. I uploaded so many videos to their website hoping that I'd be picked up as a creator. I even wrote them emails, damn near started sending them handwritten letters in crayon to their P.O. box, begging to be part of Machinima, but I never was. I had friends that were, and I was always jealous, but Machinima didn't choose me, and for a while that made me upset when I was a kid, and I swore revenge like an anime villain. Oh, you want to treat me like toilet paper to wipe your ass? Well, watch this. I'll turn into sandpaper and I'll irritate your ass. Like, I wanted revenge. But I never needed to get revenge because I'm sure you all know how this story goes. It turns out Machinima was actually a very horrible company to work with as a creator. Everyone had a negative experience working with Machinima. They were well known for very predatory contracts, mistreating their creators, and very shady business practices, which led to a mass exodus of all of their talent. And by the time 2016 rolled around, they were kind of a shell of their former selves. But in 2016, Machinima was bought by Warner Bros. For just shy of $100 million. It was a huge acquisition, and this was supposed to be like a big rebrand for Machinima where they come back to their former glory and once again take the internet by storm. There are huge plans to revitalize the channel, bring new eyes to it, and really pop off once again. Hop back in the saddle and ride this horse right through the fucking gates of Valhalla. But unfortunately, I think we all know how that story played out. In 2019, mysteriously, every single piece of content on Machinima and every Machinima-related channel was pulled overnight, without any warning to creators or their audience. A decade worth of content all vanished in an instant. And they said that this was because they were going to start pivoting and doing content in different ways that didn't involve legacy channels. It all just got really messy, but this was almost 4 years ago, and there's still nothing from Machinima or anything related to Machinima. So what happened? No one really knows. I have been trying very hard to figure out exactly what all went on behind the scenes here, but it's kind of all talked about in hushed whispers, and no one's really entirely sure on the full story or scope of what exactly happened between this 2016 to now 2022 time period. But one thing is for sure, they removed all of that content and people lost years and years worth of their work because they didn't know it was going to be taken down. So there's so many creators, some of whom that you probably still watch, or they are still popular on YouTube, that had a ton of their videos just removed, and I know for a long time they've wanted it back. So what I've wanted to do is buy Machinima from Warner Bros. Because they're not doing anything with it. Right now, the channel still exists. It still has over 11 million subscribers, and there's not a single piece of content on it. There's not a single video. And it's the same sad story for all the other Machinima spin-offs like Machinima Respawn. They just link other people's content from their channels. They don't have any of the original content that used to exist on the Machinima brand. I want to purchase these channels and be able to give the content creators their videos back. I imagine they privated all of the content, which means it'd be very easy to unprivate all of it. However, if Warner Bros. Doesn't like that idea for some reason, if they're apprehensive about opening the floodgates here and rebuilding the Library of Alexandria, known as Machinima, well, I'm fine with not unprivating them. I can still download them and send them to the creators that I know want them back and have wanted them back for a long time. I don't think they deleted all of the content. I really do think they privated it. That's just a theory, a little game theory here, a hunch, but I really do think it is still there, just privated or unlisted, and that'd be a very easy fix if I owned Machinima. Right now, Machinima is earning as much money as National Treasure on DVD earns, $0. They are generating $0 in revenue for Machinima. Warner Bros. Is making nothing on it, so let me buy it. I'm very flexible on whatever terms you'd like. I'm up to negotiate. We can kick back and smoke cigars together as we talk shop, get down to the brass tacks. I'm open to anything. I just would really like to have these channels and be able to give the creators their videos back. But then even going forward, I would like to actually use the channels for something. I don't know what yet, but I've been trying really hard to get in touch with anyone that would have information on who to talk to about making this kind of deal happen. This has been an idea I've been cooking up for months now, but it's just been radio silence. I imagine every office we call has been extinct for 6 years now. It's just literally dilapidated buildings where Machinima used to be. There is nobody we've talked to that even has a connection anymore to the Machinima or knows anyone that does. There might be like one single hotline still available somewhere, but we can't find it. We can't get in touch. We tried everything with full screen, but apparently full screen is defunct. Full screen took over Machinima once Warner Bros. Bought it. It eventually ended up in the hands of Fullscreen, but now Fullscreen no longer exists. That's been wiped out like the dinosaurs. Like Fullscreen is gone, which I didn't realize. So we've been trying to get in touch with Warner Bros. Directly about this kind of deal, but still haven't really heard anything on that front either. So I'm making this idea public, at the risk of someone coming in and stealing it from me, sweeping it out from under the rug here, which would be very upsetting because it's something that I'd really like to do and I'm pretty passionate about it because I had such a close connection to Machinima. It was such an integral part of me growing up when I was a young man on the internet and still learning everything. And I know a lot of people that got fucked over by having all of this content deleted, so I'd like to be able to give that back to them. A little late Christmas present from old St. Nicholas over here. I also just don't see a world where Machinima itself ever comes back in any meaningful way because of all of the negative baggage associated with it. It is a word that has a overwhelmingly horrible connotation surrounding it, so I don't think Machinima could ever do what it did again, because no one would sign up to work with Machinima. So I just feel like it's kind of a not dead on arrival, but a truly buried IP right now that I don't think could even be brought back if anyone wanted to. So let me have it, and I can do something with it. I don't exactly know what I'd do with it going forward past giving everyone their content back, but I'd figure something out. We've toyed around with a few ideas, call it Moist Cinema, do something cool with it. Talked about making it a Moist Esports channel where it's just all about Moist Esports, and that would literally make us the biggest esports YouTube channel by a large margin. Probably the biggest esports social media presence ever, just by pure numbers, which is an extremely entertaining thought. But we would think of something to do with it going forward that is currently better than what it's doing right now, which is just festering. Right now, it is just this blemish. So, like an old reminder of the internet from 15 years ago. It's not doing anything, but it can. So let me buy it from you, Warner Bros. Or let me work with you and we can do it together. If you want to retain ownership of it, that's fine. Just give me control of it to do some shit with it. So yeah, this is like a public asking for open communication with myself and Warner Bros. So that way we can all talk together and come up with something cool to do with the Machinima channels. So yeah, that's really about it. See ya. I think there's still a large portion of people out there that are stuck in Lollipop Narnia Fantasyland when it comes to how big the video game industry is. A lot of people still seem to think that it's some kind of grassroots, underground hobby. It's not mainstream, so they'll get a smile on their face when they see video games referenced anywhere in the world because they think it's like an underdog story, when that couldn't be further from the truth. The video game industry since 2020 has done more annual revenue than the movie and music industry combined, and it's not even close. In 2020, there was over 159 billion clams generated by the video game sector of the entertainment industry, and that number has only continued to grow exponentially. An astronomical explosion here from video games. So you're not exactly some kind of rare specimen if you happen to be an avid gamer. You're part of the largest industry in the entertainment space. And for a lot of people, that may be a tough pill to swallow, that may be hitting you with the cold water first thing in the morning, but it's important for what I want to talk about today. Because this business is so large, things have gotten real stinky in terms of business practices surrounding it. When it is such a huge industry, of course it's going to be exploited by some evil, soulless suits at the top of the food chain looking to nickel and dime everyone for a profit. And recently, this has come in the form of releasing subpar products for an increased price, games becoming $70 more frequently, and the game's quality being unforgivably dog shit more frequently. Which is why Twitter apologies from developers have become more common than the cold, because their games are releasing in buggy, broken states and the consumers aren't happy about it, so then they go ahead and puke out some corporate drivel onto their Twitter accounts and say, whoops-a-daisy, can't believe that you guys are responding this way. Sorry about that, but thanks for the money. And sometimes, if you're lucky, the Tooth Fairy leaves a little hollow promise under your pillow as well in these Twitter apologies with some kind of big, bold statement about how they're committed to fixing everything wrong with it. And that never comes. That just doesn't happen. They go to the store for milk and they're not coming back. So that's been kind of the landscape of the AAA gaming space over the last year, really. And now we're starting to see something else develop here, where entire studios are getting shut down following a flop or following a bad release. The most recent one that just happened today, as of making this video, is Volition just announced that it's shutting its doors. After nearly 30 years in the video game industry, 3 decades in the trenches of gaming, they are going out with the saddest whimper. Following the flop that was the most recent Saints Row game, a catastrophic Category 5 hurricane of trash, the game was bad, wasn't received well, and now that is their swan song. Which is just tragic, because now they can't even get into Valhalla, because they didn't die a hero's death in battle. They died a sad death in cringe, with the final Saints Row being their last game they made. It's really unfortunate because, for the most part, their resume slaps. They're responsible for some iconic bangers that I look back on so fondly even today. Like, during streams, you'll oftentimes hear me reference games that I think truly, were masterpieces, that super innovative. And one of those games actually comes from Volition. It's called Red Faction Guerrilla. To date, still has one of the most interesting mechanics with its fully destructible environments that I haven't seen replicated in anything else ever since. And of course, they are still responsible for the original Saints Row games that most people still love. But because the video game space has become so big and so filled with money, doubloons leaking out of every single, orifice of this industry, it means that every game costs so much to make. And the most recent Saints Row game was in development for 5 or so years, and it didn't do well. They had nothing to show for it. And even the previous game before that also didn't do super well. So the development time on games is longer than it has ever been. Most games that are coming out now are spending 5 years in development in most cases, or somewhere in that general ballpark. So these games take super long to make, which is very expensive because of all of the labor that you're paying for over that long period of time. And then if the game comes out and it doesn't sell $500 million worth of copies or microtransactions, then the company loses so much money on it. And that leads to closures like this. It's because the video game space is so fucking bloated. It is actually suffering from success with how much money is in the space now, that everything needs to be this $500 million winner in order for it to even generate the slightest bit of profit, it feels like. So it's just really sad because Volition is a very talented studio and has always been a talented studio. They lost their footing and have delivered some bad games in recent times, but I really feel like if the space wasn't in the current condition that it is, and I do think it's like kind of on life support right now when it comes to AAA games, because this isn't sustainable. Every single AAA game can't spend 5 or 6 years in development and need to sell hundreds of millions of dollars worth of copies and microtransactions for it to make a profit. That's not going to last. So I think we're in the middle of a potential bursting here of the AAA gaming bubble, but I'm getting off on a tangent. If the space wasn't in that condition, I think Volition could have bounced back from this and delivered a better game, a new IP, and really come back in a strong way. But this is another thing. A lot of studios don't want to really take a chance on a new IP, just like in the movie industry, because it's uncertain. When you go with a established IP like Saints Row, it comes with a built-in fan base. You can guarantee there will be interest in it off rip because it is an established franchise. With a new IP, you don't have that safety net. And since there's so much money at stake here for these companies, they're not willing to gamble on a new IP, which sucks, and it's why you don't see a ton of new IP come from AAA game devs, which is why indie games are so important and anything that's not AAA. They're kind of filling that void of new, creative, innovative IPs. But I'd love to see the return of mid-budget, mid-sized, wacky AAA titles that have no tie-in to any established franchises, just an entirely new IP. Fucking Operation American Protocol, Patriot Spaceman. I don't know, I don't care. Just investing in things that aren't going to cost millions upon millions of dollars and take many years worth of development time, and then just eventually getting pushed over the finish line sloppily and releasing a buggy, broken mess. Because it's getting extremely tiresome in the AAA space. And I'm really upset that Volition closed, to be honest. Yes, I hated the new Saints Row game, but that doesn't mean that I think Volition itself was a bad studio that was incapable of releasing good games. And this kind of thing actually just happened recently as well, even before Volition, with the Lord of the Rings Gollum developers, Daedalic Entertainment. Now, Lord of the Rings Gollum, you know, it's not winning any Game of the Year awards. Is Lord of the Rings Gollum the best game ever made? No. Is it the worst game ever made? Maybe. It's bad. It's really bad. It is definitely 2023's biggest stinker. And I will say I was somewhat excited to hear that for some reason they were going to be making another Lord of the Rings game, because I thought there's no way it could possibly be this bad twice. But out of nowhere, they released a statement saying that the developer, Daedalic Entertainment, is closing down. And I actually felt really sad for that entire team because this was their first time doing something in this genre. They are not developers in this genre at all. They make point-and-click games. And from everything I've read about their other projects, they make good point-and-click games, but were put on this task and just really weren't able to nail it. And one super stinker shut down the entire company, which had a history of delivering good point-and-click games. And that's just sad. Like, that just hurts to read. They weren't even just given another chance to go back to making their bread and butter. They made a horrible game, yes, and then got shut down for it without even getting a redemption arc of just making the games they know how to make well. Now, I guess it's not fair to say that it shut down the entire studio. It shut down their internal developers. So Daedalic does still exist, but not in the form that it used to. It doesn't have the teams that are responsible for developing games like Lord of the Rings Gollum or the upcoming Lord of the Rings game they were working on. So, also, it was directly the result of the game's horrible reception and awful sales. And again, this is a game that took them quite a while to develop. This wasn't exactly something that they just shit out into existence over the matter of like 8 months or anything. They spent a lot of time on it and it didn't perform well. And in the modern landscape of gaming, if you spend a lot of time on a game and it doesn't sell well, it's like a death sentence for the company, it seems. Just, again, because there is so much money invested into the space that when something doesn't do well, I guess the higher-ups no longer see any way of justifying the cost for keeping the studio running, so it seems like they're more than willing to pull the trigger on just shutting them down. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to go over this after reading about the Volition shutdown. I am sad to see them go, as well as Daedalic, and yeah, that's really about it. So yeah.